Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod. I'm here to talk about the challenge, season 39. We finally got a title, Battle for the Next Champion, and a full cast list. We have a cast of 24 relative newbies who have never won the challenge before. Also, not only are they not champions, but these aren't people who have tried and tried and tried again. Seems like they've all tried 3 or 4 or less times. We also have 10 champions on the cast who are marketed to be more like mercenaries, but given the fact that they have actual headshots, I'm not 100% convinced that they're not going to be eligible for the prize at some point in time. The argument that goes against this is the fact that it would make it a 35-person cast, but given how expendable a lot of the people on this contenders list seem to be with production, I could see them quickly being cycled through. Fast eliminations, purges, it could happen. So while the main focus of this video is going to be the 24 contenders, I am going to speed through the vets at the end of the video just to be sure. I am going to be recapping this season of the challenge on my YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe and like if you like the video. So let's dive into it. Firstly, we have Asif, who was last seen on Total Madness, who lasted a whole of 1 episode. I remember leaving off feeling like we should see him again. He was someone that was super popular on Argue the One. He is extremely athletic. If he can get past just being a rookie, he really shouldn't be an early boot on any given season. And the producers obviously wanted him back because he was in casting for Double Agents. He's been on American Ninja Warrior, and I've recognized him recently on the last few seasons of Drag Race, being in the pit crew. In my research for this video, I found that he posts some fun videos rapping on Instagram. So overall, he seems to be someone who's super athletic and brings the entertainment factor. This was a good pick for me. Next up, we have Berna, who was last seen on Spies, Lies, and Allies. And there's a lot of second timers on this cast from Spies, Lies, and Allies. She was a contender that season. She was doing really well, but she ended up being partnered with Huey in an elimination, which yikes. But she did win a solo elimination that season and made a decent rookie run. I could see her going far on a season like this. Next up, we have Big T, who was last seen on Spies, Lies, and Allies as well. She's shown that she is capable of a deep run on the show with a lot of help, but she's really not good at eliminations. And she's likable enough that she gets pretty far in some seasons, but I could also see her a lot of the time just being eliminated first or second. It's also interesting to see her on a season with CT in any capacity. I think their relationship is very funny, although it's very complicated at times. And if my memory serves me correctly, there may be some long-term bad blood there between CT and Big T, but I don't think anything will come of that. And looking at this cast list, I don't really feel like she's very compatible with a lot of this cast. There are a few people from the UK that I guess she would have a lot in common with, but they all have face tattoos. I don't know how much she has in common with them other than their country. So I don't feel too good about it this time for Big T. I guess the biggest thing that we could hope for is her completing a final. But I think if Big T is going to cross a final, it's going to be partnered with CT, and that ship has sailed. It didn't work out. Next up, we have Callum, who was last seen on the short-lived Challenge UK, where he was a finalist, and I've seen him on multiple reality shows by now. He's a great character for general messiness and house drama. He's also an athlete, he's a boxer, and he's a great competitor. International MTV have really been trying to find a place for him on their shows for the last few years, and I feel like he's someone who will probably stick around for a long time. I'm excited to see how he'll do in eliminations. He didn't go into any eliminations and just made a final on his first season, which is really impressive, but it was only 6 episodes, so we'll see how he does in a real season. Next, we have Chauncey, who was last seen on Ride or Dies, partnered with Amber. Now they have a baby. Congratulations to them. I love following both of them on Instagram. Not too much to say about him as a character, given that he's coming into this in a relationship, new father. So I'm not expecting much messiness coming from him. He's a super nice guy and he's a great competitor. He's a beast. He won an elimination. I'd be scared to go against him. So what I'm expecting from him is someone who's going to try really hard, build those house bonds, make it really far. I feel like his relationship with Amber makes him kind of well insulated in this cast. And I get the feeling that the returnees from Ride or Dies are a little bit more game savvy than the Spies, Lies, and Allies returnees. So that gives him a little bit of an advantage. We have Kieran on the list, who was last seen on the Challenge UK Season 1. He came in second place and he won an elimination, so he's a great competitor. I really only remember him on that season for the scandal of cheating on his girlfriend on TV, and I'm surprised to see him on this cast. I don't know if going on the challenge should be on his to-do list so soon after the previous experience, but it's his life, so I'm expecting more drama from him. I tried to do some research on this, and I think he and his girlfriend may still be together, so maybe I expect him to be on his best behavior here, but given how strict international streaming is, his girlfriend's never going to be able to watch this. So how does a man act when there's no accountability? We all know the answer to that. Next up, we have Colleen, who was last seen on Ride or Dies. She's known for being a rat and a bad liar. She was lying to everyone about the show that she was on before the challenge, which was pretty unnecessary. She also hooked up with Fessy, who's another person who I would have liked to see on this cast, also has never won the show. And I don't know how to feel about her as a competitor because her whole Instagram is based on fitness, and she won an elimination but it was against the biggest layups ever, Tommy and Annalise, and she lost an elimination against one of the best, if not the best, female competitor, Laurel. So it would be interesting to see how she competes. Right now, I'm not sure of her potential, so bring her back. Why not? Next up, we have Corey, who was last seen on Spies, Lies, and Allies, teamed up with Michelle. He lost an elimination against Huey, which is kind of embarrassing, really. I hope he can redeem himself, but seems like he's not the best at eliminations. It helps that he has ties to Michelle, who's pretty well insulated on this cast, gets him out of his Spies, Lies, and Allies bubble. So overall, I think he'll be an early boot on this season, but would be happily surprised to see him get further. Next up, we have Ed, who was last seen on Spies, Lies, and Allies, losing an elimination to Kyle. And I didn't think we would ever see him again, especially because he was not originally cast for his original season, and he seems fit, but I think he's pretty overrated. And based on the fact that he's only been on one season and missed a big part of the introduction part of that season, I don't think he's very well connected to the other players. I could see him going home super early on this season. Overall, not someone I'm expecting to be a challenge mainstay moving forward. Next, I have Emmanuel, who was last seen on Spies, Lies, and Allies. He won a ton of challenges that season and a really tough elimination. At the time, I thought he was going to be the future of the challenge, and now he's finally back, so I'm super excited to see him back. I still think he's a big part of the future of the challenge. I could definitely see him winning a few challenges. And some personal intrigue is that he hooked up with Tori, who is on the show to some extent. We have a lot of rookies on this cast who have personal ties to or who have hooked up with the champs, which I hope adds an extra level of intrigue. As I said, it's exciting to have him back, and I expect great things from him. We have our savior, Horacio, who was last seen having his soul crushed on Ride or Dies. This was a tear-shedding moment, right? When Horacio was told that he was out of the challenge in the final because Olivia got injured. And him crying and begging and saying, I'll do double work. It's so crazy to me to think that Horacio and Olivia were understudies on their season. Like, these two weren't on the original cast, and now they're the poster children for the cast promo, with Horacio being the big one on top. That's the Johnny Bananas spot. So the producers obviously see him as a golden child. I do as well. I never want to see a cast of the challenge that Horacio is not on. Put him on the challenge UK. Put him on Champs vs. Stars. I don't want to see a poster for the challenge without Horacio on it. How about that? And I want him to win at all costs. Next up is someone who I want to lose at all costs, who's Huey. Last seen on Spies, Lies, and Allies, and as someone who watches Big Brother UK, I remember him being on there as someone who, when that show ended, I never wanted to see again. And the fact that he came back on the challenge was really out of place for me because he's not an athlete by any means. Overall, I don't know how he found himself to the challenge. He's not for the challenge. I feel like he has zero shot of winning any season, and it's just weird casting. Expect a lot of him yelling, potentially a lot of him yelling at women. Overall, it's just not good. It's a big headache. So it's a no for me, dog. Next we have James, who we last saw eliminated first in the Challenge UK. And I watched the Challenge UK. I promise I did. I'm never going to watch it again. I don't remember too much of it, but when I saw his picture, I said, is this the guy who busted his face? And yes, it's him. So I guess they owe it to him to give him another chance. So good luck, James. I hope you don't bust your face. And I hope you don't get eliminated first, I guess. I mean, I kind of do. I mean, I hope Huey gets eliminated first. I hope you get eliminated second, James. I'm sorry. We get Jay returning, who was last seen on Ride or Dies, partnered with Michelle. It's his 4th season of the challenge, but he's also been on a few reality shows by this point. And I think he's seasoned enough to finally make it to a final and potentially win the show. He's beat Asif and CT in eliminations, probably some of the harder people to go against in eliminations. And he's one of the more veteran players on this cast and pretty well connected. I have a good feeling that he'll do pretty well on this season. I don't know why I said that like I had some kind of insider information or tea. This is just a prediction. I have no idea. Next up, we have Jessica, who was last seen on the Challenge Australia. She lost an elimination on the 3rd episode. I don't remember her too much, but the casting team loves tattoos for this cast, so that definitely helped her to get on. This can't be a spoiler because I saw it on Google, but apparently she's dating Devin as of July, so that's something to look out for. But overall, I don't have too much to say about her. I don't have a good feeling that she'll do well. I would think that the Ride or Dies and Spies, Lies, and Allies groups would be pretty in control of the game, and there's just sprinkles of Challenge UK, Challenge AU people on this cast. So I don't feel too good about it for any of the international players on this season to win, other than by beasting eliminations. I feel like the international challengers are really going to get the rookies experience on this season. And given that she's not the best at eliminations, I could see an early exit. I could see we never see her again. I could see an invisible edit. Next up, we have Huhoi, who we last saw losing an elimination in World Championship. I didn't watch Argentina, but we last saw her in Argentina, losing an elimination as well. And I remember her being particularly not the best at challenges. Why is she here? I have zero expectations, and we're definitely going to see her losing an elimination again here at some point. The question is when. I think soon, maybe first. But she's not going to win. I have no faith in this player. Most people will have no idea who she is, including me still. Next up, we have Kylant, who was last seen on the Challenge USA 1. He won an elimination. I can see him doing pretty well here. He's one of the more experienced vets, and he is very strategically minded. I've given him a bad rap in the past. Particularly, I wasn't the biggest fan of him on Big Brother, but I'm a very forgiving person. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to give him a chance. So this is me opening my mind to Kyland and preparing for the fact that I think that he's going to be on a big chunk of this season, if not the whole thing. So good luck to Kyland. Don't make me regret saying that. Next up, someone I'm super excited to see back, Melissa, who was last seen as a finalist on Total Madness, one of the more veteran players here. She gets kind of a fresh start, not being cast with a lot of the people that she has toxic relationships with from the previous casts. Really gives her an opportunity to make new bonds. There's a lot of people from the UK here that she can bond with. Also, I talk all the time about the fact that she was pregnant on that season of the challenge, and she ended up having the baby and naming it Vienna after where the challenge was filmed. And I think that's so cool. She's so connected to the challenge, and I want her to be on more seasons. And she's a beast at eliminations and challenges, so she's definitely a winner contender for me. Next, we have Michelle, who was last seen right now on the Challenge USA 2. She's pretty well connected on this cast. She has previous partners in Jay and Corey, previous castmates. She has people from CBS shows on here. She has people from the challenge on here. She's pretty connected with the champions, which I think will help. So I'm left off feeling pretty good about it. Is this Winchell's challenge win? I think it's a good chance. We get Mariah on this cast, who was last seen on Ride or Dies partnered with Fessy, and of the new people on Ride or Dies, she really was a standout. She really impressed me with her challenge performances. She handles a lot of personal adversity, dealing with the drama with Fessy, and I really like her personality. Hearing her talk about her experience on a lot of the challenge podcasts really just gave me a lot of respect for her, and I'm happy to have her here. I think that she'll do pretty well on this season, given that she's pretty well connected. And I'm not sure if her and Johnny Bananas are still together, but given the fact that she dated him and spends a lot of time with him and his friends, she probably has a lot of great connections with challengers outside of the show that we probably don't know about. So I feel good about it. Keep bringing her back. Next, we have Nerys, who we last saw in Ride or Dies, and she really came into her own. I remember her doing really well in a lot of the challenges. They really painted her out to be the brains of the operation between her and Nelson. I don't know if that's really saying much by comparison, but I feel good about her on this cast. Especially, I found out through my research that she's dating Horacio, apparently. So that's cool. Dating the golden child of the franchise can't be a bad thing, right? I'm not being sarcastic. We finally get the return of Olivia, who was last seen getting hit with a golf ball in Ride or Dies. I say finally, like she wasn't on the last season, but I never not want to have Olivia on my TV. She's so fun. She has such a great personality. We found out that she's a great competitor in challenges, in eliminations, and the fact that her and Horacio are going to be back together on the same season is just chef's kiss. I'm really happy that we don't have to see her be treated like a rookie anymore. Compared to the rest of this cast, she's a god tier all-star, and they better have respect for her. I have high hopes for this. I'll be so upset if she goes home early. I'm not turning in my stand card just yet. Next up, we have Raven, who was last seen on Ride or Dies with Johnny. I feel like having Nerys and having Raven on this cast, there's a missing ingredient in this soup, and it's Johnny. It would have been nice to see Johnny on this cast, but Raven, we last saw her getting knocked out of her shoes by Olivia in an elimination. Personally, I'd like to see it happen again. Looking at the female cast of this season, I think Raven's a little bit outmatched. I don't think she'll be one of the first people eliminated, but I also think she'll be one of the first people eliminated, if that makes sense. But it doesn't have to make sense. If you come this far in this video, you're a saint. Stick around, we just got one more left. Lastly, for the challengers, we have Zara, who came in second on the Challenge UK. She was last seen being eliminated with Wes on World Championship, and she's a great competitor. She could go really far. Of all the international female contenders, Zara for me is probably the toughest competition. I could see her getting far. I could see her making it to a final. I could see her winning a final. As a competitor, I think she's great. The entertainment factor, I think, could use a little bit of work. But as we've seen, if you bring these people back enough times, eventually they'll stumble into some interesting situations. I guess, I hope. But I feel good about it for Zara. Let's talk about some of these legendary challenge champions. So we get 10 champions on this list. First up, we have Brad, who unfortunately has one win, so it qualifies him to be part of this. I feel like they just cast him on the show because the other competitors have such a field day making fun of him. and making fun of the look in his eye. And this headshot really is just something else. So I guess he's coming back, and that beard in this picture has a vengeance, I'm telling you. I mean, for me, I've seen enough of Brad for a lifetime. We get the return of Cara Maria, which is super exciting. I had to watch the entire series of the challenge in its entirety 3 times to finally understand Cara, and at first I really didn't like her, but now I really like her, and I'm so excited to have her back. She's such an important part of the challenge. I feel like we're being led up to a big Cara Maria return where we'll see her on every season for a while, and I'm here for it. We get the CT on the cast. I'm never complaining about seeing CT. He's someone that even though we've seen him so many times, you really never get tired of him. So bring him back. We want more CT. And if these champs get the chance to join the game, CT's winning, right? Next, we have Darrell, who's kind of in the same vein as CT. I never complain about seeing him. He's the best confessionalist of the challenge. And my favorite recent confessional of his was him saying F Emily in the Challenge World Championship. Devin's back with 1 win now. Interesting to see him back. I'd rather see him with 1 win than Brad with 1 win because he has a lot of insight to share with a lot of these players who have played a few times and want to see that win, given that he played so many times and finally got that win recently. So nice to see Devin back as a winner. Jordan is back, and this headshot is a really great picture of him. Not too much to say about Jordan at this juncture. If the articles are right and the champ's sole purpose is to be in eliminations, I would hate to be the person that has to go against Jordan in these eliminations. That would be scary. And I feel the same way about Casey. Having to go against her in eliminations really sounds like a death sentence to me. And I'd much rather see Casey back in a mercenary type position than actually as a competitor. I think outside of eliminations, she's pretty terrible TV, so glad to see her here in this kind of role. We have Kaz as a champ, and she has 2 challenge wins already, which is pretty impressive, especially given I've seen both of her seasons and don't really remember her too much. Hate to say it, but given her recent success, I think it's great seeing her included here to this capacity. It's a good opportunity to learn more about her, especially given the fact that we're obviously going to be seeing her a lot more often in the next few seasons. Next, we have Laurel in another really great photo, and we're going to be able to see Laurel shine where she does her best work in eliminations. Also, I really hope that the champs are going to be living in the house with the contenders because I really do like Laurel's personal drama. She's a character that I like following along with, and I really like her. So I really hope that we're not just getting all these headshots and then seeing these champs like once during the season. We have Tori, and I know that a lot of challenge fans are having Tori fatigue right now, where it does feel like it's all Tori all the time. She is on every challenge season like ever, and she runs the challenge podcast, so she's just all over this. I got a bit of hate for saying this last time, but I really don't have Tori fatigue. I like Tori. I'd hate to live in this challenge world hating Tori. That's like hating TJ. You're going to see him every episode. So there you have it. We've talked about 34 castmates for this season. I am going to be covering this season of the challenge. I'm going to go grab a water. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what I've done. I hope you have a nice weekend, and I'll see you in October.